The stars glowed bright against the darkness of space. Earth's top leaders gathered in a secure room deep under Sol. On screens before them, strange beings spoke through translators. They called themselves the Galactic Coalition. Hanbin, Earth's chief diplomat, tried to hide his shock. After years of searching the stars for signs of life, aliens had found humans first. The Coalition visitors looked almost human, but with blue-tinted skin and eyes that reflected light like cats. "We have watched your planet for decades," said Tol, the Coalition leader. "We believe you are ready to join our community of worlds." Hanbin exchanged looks with President Minji. This changed everything. Over the next weeks, Earth learned about the 17 species making up the Coalition. Most had traveled between stars for thousands of years. Humans were newcomers, having only reached their own moon and Mars. Coalition scientists studied human history with growing concern. "Your species has fought over 15,000 recorded wars," noted Tol during a meeting. "No other Coalition member has such a violent past." "We've learned from our mistakes," said General Du-hyun, head of Earth's United Defense Forces. "Peace has lasted for generations, but we maintain readiness. The universe is unknown. We believed preparation was wise." The Coalition members seemed troubled by this answer. One species particularly disliked humans, the Vraxians. Tall with ridge-lined faces, they controlled the largest military fleet in Coalition space. At every meeting, their ambassador Jun Seo, who had taken a human name as was custom, objected to human membership. "They cannot be trusted," Jun Seo argued before the Coalition Council. "Their technology is primitive, yet they maintain weapons and soldiers. What peaceful species prepares so thoroughly for war during peace?" Hanbin rose to defend humanity. "We prepare because our history taught us that safety requires strength. We don't seek conflict, but neither will we be helpless." The room fell silent at his words. As months passed, Coalition representatives visited Earth. They marveled at human art, music, and food, but seemed most interested in military museums. The concept of guerrilla warfare, adaptable tactics, and fighting against superior forces fascinated them. Most Coalition conflicts had been settled through shows of technological power, not creative battle strategies. Meanwhile, Earth received amazing gifts, star maps, medical knowledge, and limited technology. But Hanbin noticed humans received less than what was shared with previous new members. The Vraxians had convinced many council members to restrict human access to advanced technology. In private meetings on their ship, Tol explained the situation to Hanbin and President Minji. "The Vraxians fear you. Their analysis suggests humans have unusual aptitude for warfare. Your adaptability, pain tolerance, and tactical thinking exceed most known species." "But we've offered no threat," Minji objected. "It's not what you've done, but what they believe you could do," Tol replied. "The Vraxians expand their territory whenever possible. They fear you might resist where others yielded." Later, alone with his team, Hanbin reviewed their options. "They want to keep us weak and contained," he said. "The Vraxians proposed harsh limits on our space travel and colony rights." Young-ho, his assistant, studied the star charts they'd been given. "We're being offered scraps while choice systems go to the Vraxians. They take what they want and call it Coalition policy." "What do we do?" asked Jisoo, Earth's science representative. Hanbin thought carefully before answering. "We accept their basic membership terms, but reject the special restrictions. We continue building our defense capabilities while appearing cooperative. And we watch the Vraxians carefully." Earth's leadership agreed. They would join the galactic community but maintain vigilance. When Hanbin delivered their decision to the Coalition Council, he noticed the Vraxian representatives whispering urgently among themselves. "We look forward to peaceful cooperation with all species," Hanbin announced, bowing slightly toward the Vraxian section. "We have much to learn, but also much to offer." That night, unknown to Earth's leaders, the Vraxian High Command authorized a secret plan. If humans wouldn't accept containment through diplomacy, they would learn their place through force. Their first target would be the planned human colony in the Tau Ceti system. The game had begun. Humanity's place in the stars would be decided not by words, but by their response to the coming storm, the massive colony ship Pathfinder cut through the darkness of space, carrying 2,000 sleeping colonists toward humanity's first star beyond Sol. 3 smaller warships formed a protective triangle around it. The ships had traveled for months to reach Tau Ceti, a golden star that promised a new beginning. On the bridge of UNS Defiance, Admiral Tae-won stood watching the main screen. His weathered face showed little emotion, but his eyes missed nothing. 5 years in the coalition had taught humans caution. "Admiral, sensor readings show unusual energy patterns at the system edge," reported Lieutenant Sunmi, her fingers dancing across her console. Tae-won frowned. "What kind of patterns?" "Similar to Vraxian cloaking technology, sir." "Very faint." The bridge fell silent. Everyone remembered the Vraxians' opposition to human expansion. "Battle stations," Tae-won ordered quietly. "Call the other escorts. Defensive formation Delta. No alerts to the colony ship yet." Warning lights bathed the bridge in red. Throughout the ship, crews raced to their positions. The ship's AI voice calmly announced, "Battle stations." This is not a drill. The 3 escort ships, Defiance, Steadfast, and Guardian, shifted formation, placing themselves between the Pathfinder and the anomalous readings. "Sir, still no official contact," said Communications Officer Minho. "Should we hail them?" Tae-won shook his head. "No. If they're hiding, let them think we haven't seen them." On the Vraxian command ship, Captain Grek watched the human vessels with contempt. "They've changed formation," his second reported. "They may have detected us." Grek dismissed the concern. "Impossible. Our cloaking technology is beyond their detection capabilities. Even if they suspect something, our fleet outguns them 5-1. Begin the attack." 7 Vraxian warships shimmered into visibility like deadly ghosts. Their weapons powered up instantly, targeting the human escorts. "Vraxian ships decloaking," shouted Sunmi. "Multiple vessels, weapons hot. Evasive pattern Cobra." Tae-won commanded. "Return fire, all batteries. And get the Pathfinder moving away now." The space around them erupted in weapons fire. The Vraxian vessels unleashed devastating energy beams, expecting quick kills. Instead, the human ships scattered in complex patterns while returning fire. The Guardian took a direct hit to its engine section. Instead of exploding as the Vraxians expected, emergency bulkheads sealed, and secondary systems came online. Even with a third of the ship venting atmosphere, its weapons continued firing. On Steadfast, Captain Ji-yoon watched her damage reports climb. "Hull breach on decks 3-7. Rerouting power." A wounded crew member dragged himself back to his station, blood streaming from a head wound. "Targeting systems still online, Captain." "Then keep firing," Ji-yoon ordered. The Vraxians had expected an easy victory against primitive human technology. Instead, they faced ships that refused to die and crews that fought harder when wounded. On Defiance, Tae-won studied the battle display. 2 of his ships were critically damaged. The Pathfinder was retreating but moving too slowly. "New plan," he announced. Guardian and Steadfast continued drawing their fire. "We're going to use their own tactics against them." The Defiance drove straight toward the debris field where chunks of hull plating and equipment from the damaged human ships floated. Vraxian sensors struggled to track them among the wreckage. "They're hiding in the debris," Grek said with disgust. "Predictable. Target that area with wide-beam weapons." "Sir," his tactical officer hesitated, "our ships 3 and 4 are in the potential damage zone." "They'll move," Grek snapped. "Fire." The Vraxian ships fired into the debris field, but the Defiance had already slipped through it, emerging behind 2 Vraxian vessels. At point-blank range, Tae-won ordered all weapons to fire at the enemy ship's engine sections. 2 Vraxian vessels erupted in flames before they could react. The remaining enemy ships turned to engage, but now faced a tactical problem they hadn't trained for, an enemy that used its own destroyed ships as strategic assets. "Impossible," Grek whispered as another of his ships reported critical damage. The battle raged for hours. The Guardian eventually lost all power, but not before its captain ordered it rammed into the largest Vraxian vessel, crippling it. Steadfast's weapons continued firing even as life support failed. Its crew donned emergency suits and kept fighting. When 3 more Vraxian ships arrived as reinforcements, Taewon made his final move. The Defiance executed a maneuver the Vraxians thought physically impossible, bypassing their defensive line to deliver a killing blow to Grek's command ship. As emergency alarms blared around him, Grek realized his terrible mistake. These humans didn't fight like any species he knew. They didn't surrender when victory seemed impossible. They improvised, adapted, and seemed to fight harder when dying. Retreat, he finally ordered. Retreat immediately. As the remaining Vraxian ships fled, Taewon slumped in his command chair. The cost had been terrible, but the Pathfinder and its colonists were safe. "Send word to Earth," he said quietly. "The Vraxians have shown their true intentions. And we have shown ours." The Great Council Hall on planet Nelver buzzed with worried voices. Representatives from 17 species sat in rising circles, their faces showing fear and anger. In the center stood 2 figures, the tall, rich-faced Vraxian ambassador and the smaller human diplomat, Jinho. "The humans violated our territory," the Vraxian ambassador shouted, his voice echoing. "They brought warships to Tau Ceti, which has been marked for our expansion." Jinho remained calm. He touched a control panel, and star maps appeared above them. "These are the official coalition expansion zones approved 3 years ago," he said quietly. Tau Ceti was confirmed as open for human settlement. "We have the documentation with all council signatures, including the Vraxian High Command's." Murmurs spread through the hall. Several council members examined their records and nodded. "Even if there was a mistake," Jinho continued, "attacking without warning violates coalition law. 2,000 sleeping colonists could have died." The ancient High Counselor Xanthor raised his hand for silence. His species, the Elysians, had founded the coalition millennia ago. His skin was pale blue and paper-thin with age. "We have reviewed the evidence," Xanthor said. "The attack was unprovoked. But what troubles many council members is how effectively humans fought back. Your 3 escort ships destroyed 5 Vraxian warships and damaged 3 others before they retreated." Jinho bowed slightly. "We designed our ships knowing we face a technological disadvantage. Redundant systems, compartmentalized sections, and crews trained to fight creatively. These are not aggressive features, merely pragmatic ones." Back on Earth, a very different meeting was taking place. In an underground command center in New Seoul, Earth's military and political leaders gathered around a holographic display showing the damaged Defiance limping home. "The Vraxians have shown their true intentions," said President Nissan, her face hard with anger. "They mean to stop our expansion by force." General Do-hyun nodded. "We've analyzed the battle data. Admiral Taewon's tactics were brilliant, but our technology gap is still dangerous." "Then we close that gap," said Chief Engineer Jae-young. She touched controls, and the display changed to show captured Vraxian technology from the battle. "Their hull material is unlike anything we've seen. Their weapons systems generate 3 times the energy output of ours. But we can learn from this." "How quickly?" asked the president. "The first upgrades can be implemented within weeks," Jae-young replied. "Full integration will take months, but we're learning fast." President Nissan surveyed the room. "Convert all shipyards to military production. Recall veterans for training and advisory roles. We prepare for war while hoping for peace." Across Earth, the response was immediate and unified. Civilian factories shifted to military supplies. Retired soldiers and sailors reported for duty. Training simulations ran day and night. Coalition observers watched in amazement as humanity transformed before their eyes. "It's unprecedented," reported a coalition intelligence officer to High Counselor Xanthor. "No species has mobilized so rapidly. Their entire economy is shifting to war footing while maintaining essential services." Xanthor's ancient eyes showed concern. "And their approach to combat?" "Disturbing," the officer admitted. They train for scenarios where they face superior forces. They practice fighting with damaged equipment. Their military doctrine emphasizes continuing combat even when defeat seems certain. Do they truly think they can match Vraxian technology? Asked another counselor. They don't need to match it, Xanthor said softly. They've already shown they can overcome it through other means. In a secure coalition facility, military analysts watched recordings from the Tau Ceti battle. They observed humans continuing to fight with severe injuries. They saw ships operating despite catastrophic damage. Most concerning, they witnessed tactical innovations no coalition species had considered. Look here, one analyst pointed. The human captain uses debris from his own damaged ships as cover. Then here, the dying vessel rams the Vraxian command ship. No Vraxian commander would expect such a move. They value their lives too highly. It's not just technology, another added. It's their mindset. They fight differently. Meanwhile, Jinho addressed the full council again. Humanity does not want war. We joined the coalition seeking peaceful cooperation. But we will defend ourselves. The Vraxians attacked without provocation or warning. We ask the council, will you uphold your own laws? The council chamber fell silent. The Vraxian ambassador glared at Jinho, then stormed out. Xanthor spoke after long consideration. The council needs time to deliberate. But know this, what happened at Tau Ceti has changed everything. The Vraxians violated our principles, yes. But humanity has revealed capabilities that concern us. As Jinho left the chamber, he received an encrypted message from Earth. Proxima Centauri defenses activated. Vraxian fleet movements detected. They are coming. The red dwarf star of Proxima Centauri glowed dimly against the blackness of space. It was humanity's first stepping stone to the stars, just over 4 light-years from Earth. Here, humans had built their first interstellar outpost, a small research station and early warning post. Commander Jiho stood on the bridge of the flagship Invincible, watching sensor displays as they tracked the approaching Vraxian fleet. 3 months of frantic preparation had led to this moment. 36 Vraxian warships confirmed, reported Sensor Officer Yuna. Heavy cruisers and destroyers. They're not hiding this time. Jiho nodded. The Vraxian force was twice the size of what intelligence had predicted. They were coming to end humanity's expansion permanently. Status of our fleet, he asked. Admiral Jun Seo, his second-in-command, looked up from her display. 78 vessels in position. Most are converted civilian ships with minimal armor. Our 22 actual warships have been upgraded with the technology we captured at Tau Ceti. Jiho studied the tactical display. The humans were outgunned, but they had spent 3 months planning for exactly this scenario. Deploy according to plan, Turtle, Jiho ordered. Groups 1 through 4 maintain stealth positions behind the moons. Groups 5 through 7 form the visible defensive line. Throughout the human fleet, captains acknowledged the orders. Some commanded proper warships. Others were merchant captains whose cargo vessels had been hastily fitted with weapons. All knew what was at stake. On the Vraxian command ship, High General Kraz viewed the human defensive formation with contempt. 27 ships? That's all they can muster, he laughed. This won't even qualify as a battle. His tactical officer looked uncertain. Intelligence suggested they've been building up forces rapidly. Primitive species exaggerate, Kraz dismissed him. Deploy in standard assault formation. No need for sophisticated tactics against such a small force. The Vraxian fleet moved forward in a perfect arrowhead formation, their massive warships bristling with weapons. As they approached the human line, Jiho opened a communication channel. Vraxian fleet, this is Commander Jiho of Earth's Space Defense Force. You attacked us unprovoked at Tau Ceti. You killed our people. We gave you the opportunity to apologize and withdraw. You have chosen this path. Let what follows be remembered. He closed the channel before they could respond. All ships execute plan, Turtle, now, he ordered. The apparently small human fleet suddenly split apart in unexpected directions. From behind Proxima's moons, 50 previously hidden ships emerged at full speed. The Vraxian formation, designed to punch through a conventional defensive line, now faced attacks from all directions. "What is this?" Kraz demanded as alarms sounded across his bridge. "Where did these ships come from?" Before his officers could respond, the first wave of human attacks hit. But instead of targeting the Vraxian weapons systems as expected, they focused on communications arrays and sensor nodes. Across the Vraxian fleet, ship after ship reported command and control failures. Coordination between vessels broke down as human ships darted between them, too small and fast to track effectively. "They're using civilian mining ships as attack vessels," a Vraxian officer reported in disbelief. "They've stripped them down for speed and added minimal weapons." On the Invincible, Jiho watched the battle unfold. "Group 3 has taken heavy losses," Admiral Junesio reported. "The Dauntless and Pioneer are critically damaged." Jiho nodded grimly. "Order them to execute Protocol Omega." The two damaged human ships changed course directly toward the largest Vraxian vessels. Evacuation pods launched from their sides as the ships accelerated to maximum speed. "They're on collision courses," shouted a Vraxian commander. "Evasive action." But the massive Vraxian warships couldn't move quickly enough. The human vessels, their reactors deliberately destabilized, slammed into two Vraxian command ships. The explosions tore through the enemy vessels, crippling them instantly. The battle raged on. Human ships took terrible damage but continued fighting. When Vraxian boarding parties managed to enter the cruiser Resolute, they expected to secure it quickly. Instead, they faced crews who fought for every corridor and chamber. Captain Minji of the Resolute spoke calmly into her ship's communication system as she fired at boarders. "All personnel, remember your training. Fall back to defensive positions by section. Make them pay for every meter." The Vraxians had never encountered such resistance. Their own crews would surrender if their ship was boarded, considering the battle lost. These humans fought on even as life support failed. Hour after hour, the battle continued. Human ships used the debris field created by destroyed vessels as cover. They executed coordinated attacks that seemed chaotic to Vraxian commanders but followed complex patterns. In his command chair, High General Kraz watched in horror as his fleet status display showed more and more red indicators. "How is this possible?" he whispered. "They should have broken hours ago." After 14 brutal hours, the remnants of the Vraxian fleet began to retreat. Of their 36 mighty warships, only 7 remained operational. Jiho stood on his bridge, exhausted but unbowed. Around him, his officers worked despite injuries and fatigue. Half the displays on the bridge were dark, and emergency lighting cast harsh shadows. "Order all ships to maintain formation," he said quietly. "The wounded are still part of our line." As the last Vraxian ships fled, messages arrived from Earth. The entire human fleet received the same simple words: "Well done. Come home. The galaxy now knows who we are." The Grand Council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from all 17 coalition species packed the tiered seats, their voices a low murmur of excitement and concern. At the center of the chamber stood a simple platform where High Counselor Xanthor waited, his ancient blue skin almost translucent with age. Beside him stood 3 humans, Admiral Subin in her formal uniform, Ambassador Jinho in diplomatic attire, and Captain Minji, her arm in a healing sleeve after the battle at Proxima Centauri. "Silence," called Xanthor, and the chamber quieted. "We gather today to address the events at Proxima Centauri and what they mean for our shared future." Recordings of the battle played on large screens. Coalition members watched with a mixture of awe and fear as human ships continued fighting despite catastrophic damage. They saw crews working together even as sections of their vessels were torn open to space. They witnessed the moment when damaged ships deliberately crashed into Vraxian vessels. "What you have witnessed," Xanthor continued, "is something unprecedented in coalition history. Not a technological victory, but a victory of will." A Morrigan representative, bird-like with brilliant feathers, rose to speak. We have reviewed the battle data. A Vraxian force that should have easily won was defeated by ships half as powerful. How is this possible? Admiral Subin stepped forward. We don't build our military on the assumption of technological superiority. We build it on the assumption that we must overcome superior forces through other means. You mean sacrifice, said another representative. We observed your crews continuing to fight with injuries that would incapacitate our own species. Minji touched her injured arm. We call it determination, not sacrifice. Every crew member knows their duty extends beyond personal safety. The chamber buzzed with uncomfortable discussions. Most coalition species had evolved away from such mindsets, considering them primitive. Yet none could argue with the results. Where are the Vraxians? Asked a small green representative. They should answer for their aggression. Xanthor's expression grew solemn. The Vraxian government has collapsed. Their military leadership has requested asylum from coalition peacekeepers. The defeat at Proxima Centauri has shattered their society's belief in their own superiority. This news sent shockwaves through the chamber. The Vraxians had been one of the most powerful coalition members for centuries. 3 ships, whispered one counselor to another. They lost their government because of 3 human ships that refused to die when they should have. Ambassador Jinho stepped forward. Humanity did not want this conflict. We sought peaceful integration into the coalition from the beginning. But now that it has happened, we ask to be recognized as full members with equal rights to all other species. The vote was taken. One by one, the representatives of each species cast their approval. Even those fearful of human capabilities recognized that having humans as allies was far preferable to having them as potential enemies. After the formal ceremony, Admiral Subin addressed the council. Her voice was strong but her words simple and direct. Humans don't seek dominance. We seek partnership. But make no mistake, we will defend ourselves and our allies with everything we have. Today marks not a victory of weapons, but a victory of resolve. The stars will know humanity not just by our capacity for war, but by our dedication to a peace worth defending. Later, at the celebration banquet, representatives from various species approached the human delegation with questions and offers of cooperation. Many seemed particularly interested in learning human military doctrines. Minji found herself speaking with a young Elysian diplomat. Is it true, the blue-skin alien asked, that your ship was boarded by 12 Vraxian soldiers, and you personally fought them off? Minji smiled slightly. My crew fought together. We had trained for such scenarios. But why continue fighting once your ship was boarded? The battle was clearly lost. No battle is lost while we can still act, Minji replied. That's something humans have always understood. In a quiet corner, Xanthor spoke privately with Admiral Subin. Your species concerns me, the ancient diplomat admitted. Not because I fear you will conquer us, I believe your peaceful intentions. What concerns me is how quickly the other species now look to you for protection. A subtle shift has occurred in the power balance of the coalition. Subin nodded thoughtfully. We notice it too. But Earth has no desire to lead through military strength alone. Our history taught us the dangers of that path. We would rather teach others to defend themselves than do it for them. A wise approach, Xanthor said. The Vraxians saw dominance through fear. You have achieved it through respect. As the celebration continued, news spread throughout coalition space. Humanity, the newcomers who had been expected to take centuries to fully integrate, had instead changed the galactic order in mere years. The moment, as it became known, marked the beginning of a new era. Trade routes shifted. Military doctrines were rewritten. And throughout coalition space, a new saying emerged, as determined as a human. It was both compliment and caution, a recognition that this young species had changed everything not through advanced technology, but through the oldest virtue of all, the unwavering will to stand and fight for what they believed in. The end.